Well, all right, boys and girls. Are you tucked in? Because it's time for Thorytime Thursdays, which means we're getting slammed! Last time we were here, Burnout was watching the latest pay-per-view with Solitary as the main event. And if he wins this match, all he has to do is defend his belt once a year. Now, let's see where things go. I mean, he's had everything and everyone going against him, and he made it to the top through talent and determination. You nodded toward the screen, where Solitary was facing off with his first opponent. You've got to admire that. JJ nodded. He's why you want to be a pro wrestler. You looked at JJ. One of the reasons for sure. You were interrupted then by a roar from the crowd. You and your friends watched, stunned, as Solitary's first opponent tapped out, caught in Solitary's 3 of clubs submission. The bell rang. Barely 2 minutes had gone by in the match. Solitary! Solitary! The second man wasted no time getting to the ring. In hindsight, maybe he should have. He slid beneath the bottom rope, got up to one knee, and was promptly caught by a kick to the back of the skull. The champ went for the pin. 1, 2, no way! 3, the bell rang. The crowd erupted. Solitary! Solitary! Unreal. Okay, something's fishy here. Stay silent. What was there to say? There's no way that someone could be that good, right? The final man strode purposefully to the ring, his face purple with rage. Paul Prototype had started out in the GWA as the ultimate good guy, but while that was still the facade he presented to the public, it was clear that he was obsessed with avenging his numerous losses to Solitary. Unlike the other 2 opponents, Prototype put up a hell of a fight. In the end, however, after a grueling 20 minutes, Solitary hit Prototype with the ace of spades. And that was that. Your winner, and still your undisputed global wrestling champion, Solitary! The crowd went wild. You stared at the triumphant figure of Solitary, alone at the top once more, brandishing the gold and green of the GWA Championship. And you promised then and there, someday I'll compete in that ring. Someday that's going to be me. Someday I'll have my Valhalla victory. It's always been about the competition, not necessarily the attention. But to get a victory at Valhalla, I mean, that's that. The team hung out at JJ's house until well past midnight, but by 2 in the morning only you and Gianna remained. You were about to say goodbye as well. You and Gianna had agreed to go on a morning radio show to promote the Division I finals. You didn't want Gianna snoring into the live mic again, but then JJ stood up. JJ grinned. Now that the babies are gone, she left the room for a moment and returned shortly with a case of beer. Gianna whooped and fell upon the beers like a shark diving through chum. You two should stay the night, said JJ. She opened 2 cans and offered one to you. We've still got a lot of catching up to do. You looked at the beer, then at Gianna. You were hitching a ride home with her, and while she'd driven the car to JJ's house, it was obvious that she wouldn't be in any condition to drive home. I've never turned down a drink before. Why start now? Why not? I can hold my liquor, unlike Gianna. Refuse. Better safe than sorry. Besides, I don't need to be drunk to hang out. JJ smirked. Well, aren't you the responsible one? You shrugged. A captain has to watch out for her players. You both looked at Gianna, who was happily guzzling down her third can, and sighed. JJ picked up one of Gianna's empty cans and handed it to you. What's this for? Can't have a toast if you're not at least pretending to hold a drink. Toast! Gianna shouted, then promptly fell over. You and JJ shook your heads, then raised your respective beer cans. Her full, yours empty. To old friends, you said. To new rivals, answered JJ, grinning. Clink. The hours flew by quickly as the three of you talked. JJ talked about what it was really like working under the Beast, the legendary wrestling coach of St. Bronze. You gave her an update on the latest, not quite on point motivational posters that Coach Chertow posted in your lockers. Yours had the saying, "The happiest life is to be without thought," by noted Greek athlete Sophocles. JJ voiced admiration for a freshman prospect you had for next year. You fended off JJ and Gianna's innuendos about the sophomore who confessed her love to you last month. Swapping stories seemed to close the distance between you, and before long it felt as if JJ had never transferred out. You finally left JJ's house at almost 5 in the morning. You were cutting things a bit close for your radio interview, but it had been so long since you, JJ, and Gianna had been together that you lost track of time. Gianna was laid out on the back seat, snoring up a storm. JJ rode shotgun. You're going to need help getting Gianna into the station if she's still out for the count, JJ had said. You drove down the city's main roads, keeping just a hair under the speed limit. The drizzle that had begun to fall when you left JJ's house had turned into a genuine downpour, and you peered anxiously out at the pools of light that your headlights sent into the pre-dawn gloom. Relax, JJ said, leaning back into her seat, looking pleasantly buzzed. You worry too much. That's always been your problem. Can't help it. I hate being late. Mere mortals like me tend to dread failure, JJ. Maybe I'll try. Deep breath. Get a little bit of playful sarcasm in there. Hey, maybe they'll let us cut promos on each other, JJ grinned, wagging a finger at an imaginary audience as she spoke in a deep voice. Let me tell you something, neighbor. Dietrich here may think she's all that, but I taught her everything she knows, and let me tell you, neighbor, she wasn't no quick study. In spite of yourself, you laughed. For a non-GWA fan, JJ sure did a good impression of Herculean Harvey Harrison. Neighbor, when Dietrich here came to my dojo, she thought a near fall was when you almost tripped, but didn't. Dojo? What the heck? Maybe it was just the sleepless night, but you found the routine even more hilarious than usual. So if Dietrich makes it to the finals against me on Saturday, let me tell you, neighbor, she's going to whoop your sorry MMA ass, you said, just as something darted across the highway right into the path of your car. You cursed and swerved violently to the right. You jerked the wheel, but by then it was too late. The car careened into a tree with a juddering slam, and your seatbelt bit hard into your chest as a spray of splinters danced into the air to the sounds of crunching metal and shattering glass. Dazed, you were only semi-conscious of your surroundings until Gianna helped you out of the car. With her help, you lay down on the grass. Just behind Gianna, you could see the car lodged against the tree. Gianna leaned over you, concern on her face. Are you okay? You gave yourself a once-over, but aside from a few aches and bumps, nothing seemed to be bleeding or broken. I'm okay. Your voice was tremulous, like you couldn't believe it yourself. I'm okay. You stopped. What about? You heard a groan from beside you. That was the first time you realized that JJ was lying not 3 feet away, clutching her right leg. JJ! You crawled to her side, then got up on one knee. Are you okay? It wasn't my fault. Oh God, I'm so sorry. I'm too panicked to speak. Someone who's been in an accident. Gonna ask if JJ's alright. Your best friend grimaced in pain, screaming through clenched teeth. Then her eyes focused on you. Her expression shifted to one of rage. What the hell? What the hell? There was, you said, it must have been a dog or something. Then you should have run it over! You can't really mean that. It just happened so suddenly. You heartless piece of How could anyone think that, much less say that? And JJ's always had a soft spot for dogs. JJ hissed and shook her head violently. She was beginning to hyperventilate. We've got to call an ambulance, Gianna whispered. No way. JJ pushed herself up with her elbows. Do you know how hard I had to work to get on the St. Bronze team? This is the excuse they need to bench me. JJ sat up, then tried to get her legs under her. I can still compete. So what would you suggest we do then? With Gianna's help, JJ managed to stand on one leg. Let me clean up and hail me a cab before you call in the accident. I'll head home, heal up in time for the tournament. I was never here. You looked at JJ's leg dubiously. You owe me this, JJ said. I mean, she's the one I would always get in trouble for. There's no way you're going to be 100% in 3 days, you said. Heck, 70% would be a stretch. Maybe, said JJ. But that should be my choice, not yours. You threw up your hands. Have it your way, then. Thank you, May. JJ flashed you a fierce grin. See you in the finals. The NCAA Division I Wrestling Championships. The next few days went by in a haze. You hadn't been drinking, so the reactions of friends and family were more sympathetic than accusatory. But that didn't erase the image of JJ lying on the grass, clutching her bleeding leg. However, while you were preoccupied off the mat, your focus returned during your matches. In fact, you'd never been so driven, so composed. You executed every move, every tactic with brutal efficiency. And you weren't the only one on a roll. If you had known better, you wouldn't have thought that JJ was injured. But you did know better. And as you watched her eke out victories over inferior opponents, you felt... guilty, worried about her, angry, proud of her. Because it's JJ, and that's what she would want me to think. She'd want me to be proud of her going through all this after being in a freaking car wreck. Because clearly she's the Kurt Angle of this story. With a broken freaking leg. Who other than JJ could fight off adversity to this extent? She was an inspiration, and not just to you. You could see that from the crowd's reactions. On the third day of the tournament, no one was surprised that you and JJ were competing in the finals at 1:30. This was the showdown everyone had been anticipating, but it was not the one you'd envisioned. As you squared off against JJ at the center of the mat, waiting for the official to signal the beginning of the match, you searched your best friend's face for any sign of what she was feeling. No luck. She had her game face on. You'd have had better luck reading a mannequin. You reminded yourself that this was what she wanted. JJ had always been a fierce competitor, conflict and competition, the only idols she worshipped. During one of the few times that she had spoken of romance, JJ had said that her ideal partner would be one that could go toe-to-toe with her. No question about it. JJ would come out swinging. The question was, would you? Could you? The official's whistle signaled the beginning of the match, and that was when you made your decision. I decided I would throw the match. I decided I would go all out to win. If she's going to hate me, it's going to be because of her decision. Injury or not, you'd fight to win. JJ was the one who decided to compete hurt. You'd cut her no slack. That was how she'd want it anyway. The first few minutes of the match were inconclusive, hesitant. You and JJ both knew each other too well for any of the usual tactics or tricks to work. It was move, reversal, escape, move, over and over while waiting for one of you to make a... And there it was. JJ gave up her leg, letting it stay down for a second too long. You dived for it, hooked and lifted her high, not even thinking about the injury, not thinking about anything but winning. Then you slammed her shoulders first into the mat with all your strength. Looking back, you're still not certain that you heard the crack of bone breaking. You do remember the sticky feeling, and looking down to see JJ's blood on your hands and on the mat. JJ was screaming in pain, and all you could do was step back as the medical staff rushed her to a waiting ambulance. You didn't even realize that you were being proclaimed champion until you heard the audience applause. Well, now I knew who the better woman was. That wasn't how I wanted to win. I felt terrible. I should have thrown the match after all. That wasn't how I wanted to win. You'd wanted to win, of course, and you knew that being so aggressive could hurt JJ, but not like this. Not this badly. You never heard from JJ again after all was said and done. It wasn't just that you didn't communicate, she just seemed to drop off the map. She closed her social network accounts, withdrew from her other friends and family. No one had seen hide nor hair of JJ Delgado for 2 years. Until she landed on the cover of Masters of Wrestling. Well now, boys and girls. That's pretty exciting. What's going to happen next time? Well, the only way to find out will be to come back, get tucked in, and enjoy another Thory with yours truly, the narrator. This has been Thorytime Thursday. Like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to stay notified. Now it's time to close your eyes and go to sleep.